This hope will guide me into death. Hallelujah for the cross. Hallelujah for the war he fought. Oh, there's one death has lost. Hallelujah for the souls he bought. Hallelujah for the cross. Hallelujah for the war he fought. Oh, there's one death has lost. Hallelujah for the souls he bought. Hallelujah for the cross. Hallelujah for the cross.
All right, guys, it's our last chapel together. We're not going to be with you tomorrow morning, so this is the last chance we get to be with you. Glad we could do some music this morning, worship the Lord together. It was awesome. We do have a few more things left we get to do with you, starting tonight with the Cola War. I know Mr. Thompson's already mentioned it, but we're excited about that, okay? It's going to be an awesome chance. The more the better, right? We got some crazy games we're going to be playing. We got some opportunity to hear God's word, and the more the better. It's going to be awesome if you guys can come out. I know there's not any sports games or anything like that today, so just carve out some time in your schedule, just a couple hours, the games and the preaching and the music, and then a little bit of time with some pizza and drinks, chips and stuff afterwards. It's going to be a good time. We don't have a ton of time this morning, though, so that's all we'll say about that. We just love to see you out there tonight. This morning, I want to talk to you guys about a topic that I think is really important. Let's see here, the clicker may not be going, but there we go. We're going to talk about mission-based leadership. Now, I've been doing, when I've been with you guys before, really walking through a text, whether it's in the pre-sessions or in chapel earlier. Today's going to be a little bit different. We're going to hit a topic. We're going to talk about leadership, and rather than it being kind of like a sermon where I talk to you and you listen, think about this one like a workshop, okay? I'm going to ask a ton of questions, and that means we need a ton of answers, okay? So let me see. Let's start with question number 1. Do you guys understand what I'm talking about? Perfect. That's better than we had on Tuesday, so we'll do well today. We'll see if we can get some questions and some answers going. Let me start off with this. This is a quote. If we can advance to the next slide here. This is a quote right here from a guy that I had as a teacher in college, and he says this. He said, "Most of you will hold the most important leadership position in the local church in the next 10 years. Question number 1. What do you think that is? What do you think the most important leadership position in the local church is that most of you will hold in the next 10 years. Any ideas? Just throw one out real quick. Okay, one right here. What you think? What's that? Okay, I don't think that one's it. Let's keep going. Okay. Pastor. Do you think most of you are going to be pastors? Okay, I don't think so. Right over here. Missionary and evangelist. I think those are important leadership positions, but maybe not the most important. Yeah, one right over here. Last one. Okay, the people, and you're getting really close because here's okay, we'll take one more. All right, I can't hear you, so I'm just going to go ahead. If you got an answer and you're in the back, you're going to have to shout it out to me. Last one. Deacons, no, because not most of you are going to be deacons, but most of you probably will be a parent someday. Do you know that parents, I know that's crazy to think about, right? Maybe even the next 10 years. But did you know that parents are the ones that really lead the family unit? And families are what make up churches. So the most important leadership position in the church is that of parent, and most of you will be a parent. So guys, leadership, if the church is going to be successful, if God's word is going to go out, if families are going to be built around doctrine, guys, leadership is something you're going to have to learn. And you know what, even right now, you guys all have influence at some level. You're all involved in some level of leadership, even if it's just with your peers. So just if you're thinking, man, I'm not a great leader, okay, don't tune out here, because you need to be. Whether you are or not, you need to be a great leader. So we got this clicker going here. Yeah, we do. All right, let me throw up some questions here for you, though. When we talk about leadership, I want to put up some statements. I just want you to raise your hand if you agree with the statement. Here's statement number 1. Leaders should take responsibility for everything that happens in their organization. Agreed? All right, let's see. Show of hands. Yes, you agree? Okay, most of you agree with that statement. Let me try this one. Okay, next statement here. Okay, that's not the one. We just need the next one right here, guys. I'm not sure if it's me or you that's clicking right now. All right, let's try this. Leaders should communicate clearly what is expected from their followers. Agreed? All right, good stuff. Let's see if we can get the next one to come up this time. Yeah, here we go. How about this one? Leaders should give a good direction to their followers, but allow them to develop plans of attack on their own. Agreed? Oh, wait a minute. Now we've got a problem. Those two statements seem to be like contradictory, right? Should they communicate exactly what's expected, or they should give a good direction and let them develop plans of attack on their own? Which should they do? The answer is both. Oh, wait a minute. How can this work? Let's try another statement here. Just go to the next one. And leaders should create stable environments for their followers so they can do their jobs effectively. Let's see a show of hands. We agree with that statement? I do. Okay, good. And let's go to the next one. Leaders should mix things up and take chances, never be satisfied with the status quo. Do we agree? Okay, I agree. Let's see a show of hands here. Wait a minute. Do we have another contradictory statement that maybe both are true about leadership? Let's go to the next one. Here's the big conclusion I've been drawing from all of this, okay? If you think of leadership as a bunch of personal characteristics or behaviors, your idea of leadership is really lacking, okay? It's not just what does a leader do, because a leader might do different things in different situations. It's not how does the leader act, because a leader might act differently in different situations. So don't just think of leadership, because if I were to ask you guys what makes a good leader, let's just do that right now. What makes a good leader? What might you say? Should he be humble? What would make a good leader? Yeah, right over here. What's that? Yeah, godly. That's a good one. Right over here. Honest. Should be honest. Yeah, back here in the back. Yell it out, Salome. Patient. Right here in the front. Responsible. Yeah, but if you just think of leadership as a bunch of like collections of characteristics, there's more to it than that, okay? And I think those statements we just went through said, yeah, leaders can do different things at different times and be totally right. But how do you know which one to do at which time? Let's advance to the next slide here, guys. I'm not sure if I've got it or you do. I'll try the next one. Here's a quote. It says, absolute identity with one's own cause is the first and great condition of successful leadership. In other words, you've got to know what you're trying to accomplish if you're going to be a good leader. You've got to have absolute identity and identify totally with your cause if you're going to be a leader. Let me try this one, see if I've got control of this guy yet here. I don't. So let's go to the next one. Or is it just delaying in the back? That could be that too. Okay, good. Yeah, that was a quote from Woodrow Wilson. He might know a thing or two about leadership. He was the president of Princeton. You know, he was the president of the U.S. He led us through a world war, all that stuff. That was who that guy was. So what we want to talk about now is how that works. I call this concept missional leadership. And let's see if we can trace this through the Bible, this idea that you have to have absolute identity with your cause. You have to know what your mission is if you're going to be a good leader. Let's talk about it in the Bible. Let's start off with Joshua 24. If you've got your Bibles there, you can look at them. But I'm not going to take too much time to read these passages because we got a lot of ground to cover and not a whole lot of time. It's there in front of you, but the highlighted word is the one I want you to notice. Joshua said this, I want you, because of what I've just been talking about, therefore, fear the Lord and serve him in these different ways and put away the gods of the Amorites. And I want you to choose you this day whom you will serve, whether it's going to be the gods that you served before or the God of Israel. But what's this therefore talking about? Why should the Israelites follow God? Let's see here. The therefore. All right, go ahead. I need to point to the back. I see. All right, just advance it for me, guys. Here we go. Here are the things that God had talked about, okay? Here are the things they had talked about. God had chosen Abraham. He had blessed Abraham. He'd blessed Isaac. He'd blessed Jacob. He delivered them from Egypt. He'd given them military victory in the wilderness. He'd given them a good land. And then Joshua comes along and says, now therefore, fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and truth. So wait a minute. Why were the Israelites supposed to choose to make their mission to serve God? They could look at who God was. They could look at what God had done for all of their ancestors, for them while they were in Egypt, and they could say, this makes sense. Because of what God has done, I will serve him in the future. And then it comes back to this verse. That's the therefore. That's why we should serve the Lord in sincerity and truth in Israel's case. But there's other examples in here. Let me jump to another passage here. This is Moses, okay? When God had wanted to punish the Israelites, they had made the golden calf. They had turned their backs on him right after he had led them out of Egypt. And Moses was saying, God, you shouldn't destroy the Israelites. Why did he say that? Did he have a reason why? Or did he just say, God, you really shouldn't do that because I kind of like these people? No, he said the reason you shouldn't destroy these people is because the Egyptians know your power. And if you destroy the people now, the Egyptians are going to slander you and say he took them out in the wilderness to die. And then he says, God, you swore by yourself. You made an oath that you would deliver these people. And if you don't do that now, your glory is at stake. So you guys tell me, what was Moses' motivating factor in the way he led the Israelite people? Based on this, what was Moses' motivating factor? It was God's glory. He didn't want to just be a successful leader that looked good to his peers. He didn't just want to successfully get across the wilderness. God, your glory is at stake, and that's why you can't allow these people to be destroyed. Here's another one for you. And let's skip to the next slide here. All right, cool. This is Romans 12, 1 and 2. This is Paul talking about us as believers in the New Testament era. He says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, you give your lives a living sacrifice. Now, why would Paul say you should give your bodies a living sacrifice? That's a big deal, right? Give up everything about yourself and live your life totally for God. Why would he do that? Guys, the first 11 chapters before this talk about what God has done for us in salvation. It talks about how dreadfully sinful we were and how we could do nothing for ourselves. It turns the corner and talks about how wonderful God's salvation is and how he's done everything for us. Therefore, we should be willing to give up our bodies as a living sacrifice. Guys, the point I'm driving home is this. It's that we can't just go into life doing the next thing. We have to have a purpose. There's a few more passages I want to share with you here. These ones are about Jesus. Look at what Jesus said throughout his earthly ministry. He was looking forward to something. He wasn't just living his life one step at a time. He talked to the woman at the well and said, my hour is not yet come. He talked to the disciples here and said, my hour is not yet come. He said in Acts, look, guys, they're saying, hey, when is your hour going to come? When are you going to set up your kingdom? Jesus said, not now, because you need to be witnesses for me. There's more work to do. And then finally, his mission on this slide right here was this. The Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which is lost. So was Jesus living missionally? Yes, he was. He had a mission. He came to seek and to save the ones that were lost. He wasn't just going through life doing good deeds and being a good person. He had a mission that was assigned to him by God to seek and to save those that were lost. So this idea of letting an end goal motivate you is all throughout Scripture. But I want to illustrate it for you guys in a different way too. Skip to this next slide here, and I'll give you a conclusion from all of this. It says, if you don't know why you're leading, or you don't believe in the reason you're leading, you're really not leading. For instance, if I was to get in a car and I was to drive up to my house in Alabama and I didn't know where I was going, so hey, follow me, I'm going to take you to Alabama. Would I really be leading you anywhere if I didn't know how to get there? Or I didn't know where I was going? No, leaders that don't know where they're going can't lead. Or if you're just going through the motions and maybe you're on a school leadership position and you just say, okay, so this leadership position means I'm supposed to share a devotional, so I got to get a devotional ready. You don't really believe in that devotional. You're not really earnest about sharing the power of God's word with people. You're just sharing a devotional because that's what you have to do. Are you really leading people? Or are you just going through the motions? Okay, so let's jump to this next slide here. Let me illustrate it for you. Here's Coca-Cola. They have a mission statement here. And here's their mission: to refresh the world in mind, body, and spirit, to inspire moments of optimism and happiness through our brands and actions. That's Coke's mission. Now, how does Coke try to accomplish that mission? Their mission is to bring refreshment to the whole world. All right, let me ask you a question. When every Coke commercial you ever watch, there's a sound you're bound to hear. What sound is that? Right. Psh. What are they doing? They're letting their mission even infiltrate the way they advertise, because they're trying to talk to you about refreshment, and they're giving you that sound. That's good. Plenty of sounds, guys. That's that sound that makes you think about that refreshment that Coke offers. Okay, so Coke is trying to accomplish their mission even through their advertising. Jump to the next one here. Let's talk about Nike for a second. Okay, Nike. All right, you guys got some athletes here. I know you're all into Nike. What's their mission? Okay, to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. How does Nike do that with their mission? What do you guys think? Let's get one hand at a time. I can't hear everybody at once. Right here, third row. Okay, just do it, right? Inspiration. Have you guys heard that little alarm clock routine they do? You know, the one where it's talking about how the alarm clock is on you and the enemy's breathing down your neck and you got to take another step and you don't, and then at the end of it, it's just the alarm clock. Ding, 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 ding. It's like this internal war in your mind to be training hard like an athlete. They're trying to inspire you, okay? I think even the way their products look is the way they're trying to inspire you. What color is Nike gear usually? Like neon and bright, and just it's this flashy stuff. It's bringing inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. One more for you. Here's the YMCA. And here's the YMCA's mission, okay? They want to put Christian principles into practice through programs that build healthy spirit, mind, and body for all. How do they do that? That's their mission. That's their goal. How does the YMCA do that? Okay, this is one of these is really easy, right? They're going to build a healthy body for all. How do they do that? All right, how does the YMCA help you build a healthy body? Anybody, this is obvious. Come on, guys, right here. Okay, they get workouts, right? They got workout material and they got swimming pools and they're going to work you out. They're going to work out your mind. And you could say they put some Christian principles into practice, but the idea is they're doing things to accomplish their mission. Let's jump to this next slide here. And let's talk about how this relates to you. This guy right here is you, okay? And let's say you were to choose a mission for yourself, okay? And I got 4 possible missions for you. Let's talk about if you were going to choose, hit the next slide here, to be an Olympic. Oh, okay, picture perfect family. I got them out of order. To be a picture, or there's a medalist, good. Let's say you were going to be an Olympic medalist. That's your mission in life. I'm going to be an Olympic medalist. What would you do? What would you do to accomplish that mission? What are some things you'd have to do? Right back here. Exercise. Excellent. That's something an Olympic medalist would need to do. Let's come on. Keep them coming. One more here. Right here. Okay, I'm going to have to get involved in some competition. I'm going to go to the gym. Right over here on the front row. Going to have to practice whatever my sport is right here. Eat healthy. And these guys that are going to be in the Olympics, like, dude, their whole life is consumed with training because it's their mission. The mission of their life is to compete and win in the Olympics. Let's try another one here. Let's talk about experiencing life. That's a big one these days. What if my goal in life is to have great life experiences? What are some things I'm going to do? Yeah, right here. Okay, I'm going to experience. Well, let's get more specific. What am I actually going to do? Okay, I'm going to have to get, maybe like a rewards credit card or something so I could travel around the world. Here. Okay, I'm not going to die. That's a good chance. Let's be serious, guys, though. What are some things I'm going to do if I'm really serious about experiencing life? Okay, right back here. Okay, maybe climbing Mount Everest. That's something I might do. Front row here. Okay, so I'm not going to be spending my time on video games, but I'm probably going to get like an Instagram account, and I'm going to be taking the selfies and showing everybody how that I'm experiencing life. I'm going to get a rewards credit card, and I'm going to probably get a nice car. Maybe, I'm going to find a way to get out and experience life. Let's try another one here. Let's talk about if my goal in life is to be a Fortune 500 CEO. What are some steps I'm going to have to take? What are some things I'm going to do if that's my mission? All right, right here. Listen up, guys. Okay, I'm going to have to go to college. I'm probably going to have to go to college more than 4 years if I'm going to be a CEO. I'm probably going to have to get myself a master's in business. What are some other things I might do? Right here. Okay, I'm going to have to work my way up the business. I might start as an intern, then get an entry-level position, improve myself, and be a manager. Okay, right over here. Invest. Okay, I'm going to have to make some investments, earn some money. All right, but all these things, like social networking, these are all the things I'm going to have to do if I'm going to be a CEO. Do you guys, here's what I'm trying to get at here. Do you realize the mission that you choose, if you choose any one of those 4 missions, it's going to determine how you live your life. If I choose the mission of being an Olympic medalist, my life is going to look way different than if I choose the mission of being a Fortune 500 CEO. Your mission really determines your direction. You can't be, say my mission is to be a Fortune 500 CEO and be doing all the things that are going to make me an Olympic medalist. They don't go together. The mission of your life determines the direction of your life. Let's jump to the next slide here. Question then, what's your mission? If the mission of your life really determines the direction of your life, what's your mission? Let's talk about missional leadership for you guys, and let's see what it should be as Christians. Way back at the beginning in Genesis 1 verse 26, God said this. He said, let's make man in our image and after our likeness. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, I've got an illustration I like to use for this. Right here on my phone, I know you can't see it, even though it's like the biggest phone on the market. This is a picture of me and my wife, Bethany, on Christmas Day. If you guys could see, you'd notice that we're actually standing on a frozen lake that's about 3-4 inches thick with snow on top of it in Wisconsin on Christmas Day this year, okay? Pretty sweet. But anyway, that's the picture. Now, why, you guys tell me, would I have a picture of me and my wife on my phone? Particularly, why would I have a picture of my wife on my phone's lock screen? Why do you think that would be? Okay, right here. Okay, he's nailed it. We don't have to go any further because I actually love her and I want to see and be reminded of what she looks like, okay? That's the reason I have a image of her on the lock screen of my phone. Now, when God says he made man in his image, what do you think that means? It means we're supposed to look like God and remind people of God. Guys, that's how we glorify God, is by bearing his image, reflecting his image, so the world knows what we look like. So there's step 1. That's what our mission should be, is to bear God's image and look like him. That actually in Ephesians 1, it talks about the same thing right here. You can see it at the bottom, the highlighted part, that we should be to the praise of his glory. That's why we were created, to look like him, to bring him glory. Let's skip to this next passage here. And here's what Jesus said in John 13. He said, I've given you an example. You should do as I've done to you. Do you guys see this theme throughout Scripture? The goal of our lives as Christians should be to be like Jesus, to be like God, to reflect his image to the world. I think I've got one more passage here. 1 Corinthians 10:31 is kind of the catch-all. Whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all to the glory of God. Let's jump to the next slide here. Here's a summary statement. You guys may have heard of Jim Berg. I've seen some of his books around the school already this week. He said it this way. He took all this stuff I'm talking about and he summarized it. And he said, God's on a mission to redeem and restore fallen people, that's us, to the likeness of his Son, to the praise of his glory. There's God's mission. And guys, if that's God's mission, our believer as Christians, our mission as believers, this next slide, guys, should become our mission. God's mission should become our mission as well. All right, if God has created us to reflect his image, if he has saved us to reflect his image, guys, let me tell you, the mission of your life should be to reflect his image, to bear his image and glorify God. So, if that's your mission, let's jump to this next slide here. We're back to our little guy here, and he's got all these missions to choose from, but there's another one. Let's jump again, all right? Redemption and restoration, being redeemed and restored to look like Jesus is another mission. That should be our mission. Now, these other things can intersect with that. These other things, maybe you will have a picture-perfect family. Hit the next one, guys. Maybe you would have a picture-perfect family. Maybe you would experience life. Maybe you would be a Fortune 500 CEO. Those things aren't wrong. But if you choose them as your mission, they're choosing your direction. And guys, nothing should be your mission. Nothing should determine your direction other than being like Jesus for God's glory. That should be your mission as believers. And you know what? That's what 2 Timothy 3 talks about. You know, no one that wars, no one that's really a soldier for Jesus gets tangled up with the affairs of this life. It doesn't happen. Why? Because Jesus chose us to be his soldier. So we can't get tangled up. Guys, is it wrong to be a Fortune 500 CEO? You tell me yes or no. But can you get so tangled up in trying to be a Fortune 500 CEO that you forget you're here to represent God and to bear his image? Can that happen? Guys, is it wrong to have a picture-perfect family? But can you get so tangled up in trying to have that picture-perfect family that you lose focus of what your real mission should be, which is bringing God glory through being like Jesus? Can that happen? The same thing would be true with the other ones we talked about, whether it's being an Olympic medalist or anything else you could fill in the blank with. If you get tangled up in the affairs of this life, you're not focused on pleasing the one who's chosen you to be a soldier. And so here we go, guys. Here's the big conclusion from all this stuff we've been saying. Without a mission, without choosing a mission, you don't really have any basis to set or make decisions and make plans. If you're a leader, if you're a believer, you will be directionless, okay? And your mission, as we've been saying these last few minutes, has to be to choose to glorify God. So let's jump to the next slide here. Let's make some real life application. I'm going to lead you in it a little bit, then I'm going to let you guys discuss it amongst yourselves just a little bit. But let's jump to the next slide here. How could you incorporate what we've talked about this morning into leading let's just bring the first one up here. If you're leading on a sports team, okay? Let's say you're a captain or you're a senior or something like that. How could you choose to be like a missionally based leader who's focused on bringing God glory on a sports team? Let's think about that for a second. Let's just say you're the captain of the volleyball team. How could you incorporate these principles into being the captain of a volleyball team? All right, think about it. And once you've got a good thought, somebody raise their hand and give me a thought here. How could I be a mission-based Christian leader on the volleyball team? Okay, right here on the front.
Maybe you can talk about the principle of being like orderly and like united.
Okay.
Spiritually and like physically in the game as well.
Okay, so he's saying I could talk about some of the ways that I could show Christ likeness on the court. You know, being orderly, being organized, those kinds of things. Not just because they're going to help us win, but because they look like Jesus. That's good. What else could I do? Right here. Okay, we should pray. I mean, Jesus gave us that example of praying, right? So we should lead the team in prayer. Now, wait a minute. You probably do that already. Doesn't everybody here, don't you guys pray before games and stuff? But there's a difference. If you're just praying because that's what you're supposed to do, that's one thing. But if you're praying because you really want to reflect Jesus' image, that's a totally different thing, okay? Let's see here. Speak up. Somebody in the back had a hand up. Speak up. What's another thought you could do with a sports team? I thought I saw a hand back here. It may have gone down. Maybe somebody took yours. Anyone else anywhere else? All the way back here. Salome. Okay, now wait a minute. She says have a good attitude when you lose. How is that reflecting Jesus' image? How would it be having a good attitude? How would that reflect Jesus' image? Right here. Oh, that was a different hand, wasn't it? Okay. Right here. Can't hear you. Can somebody help me out? What's she saying right there? Now, Jesus never had a bad attitude. That's a pretty good point, okay? That's how you can do it. Good stuff. Hey, let's jump to the next one. Leading this way. On your worship team, you guys have a worship team here. Maybe you go to a different church and you watch a worship team or you're on a worship team. Okay, how could leading this way, leading to bring Jesus glory, how could leading worship on a worship team, how can you do that way? What are some things that you would do to lead in this way on a worship team? Okay. I mean, this one seems pretty easy, right? It's like a worship team. Aren't we like glorifying God just by being on the worship team? Okay, but what are some things we're going to do to be intentional about that? Right here. What's that? Okay, worshiping God. Now that's kind of like almost contained there in the name. Let's see if we can go a little bit deeper than just worshiping God on this worshiping team. Although that's a really good point, and it gets to the heart of the issue. Who's the one being worshiped here? Right over here. Singing. Singing what now? Okay, so I'm going to sing songs, and I'm going to play instruments. Now, question for you, though. Could you have one person who's singing songs and playing instrument who has the mission maybe of making themselves look good, and another person who really has the mission of making people see Jesus in them? Could that happen? Okay, so if your mission is really to make Jesus big, what would you do on a worship team? What would you do? Okay, right over here. Okay, does making the music louder necessarily make it more like Jesus? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, if they can't hear you, that's a problem. But just getting louder doesn't make it's not like the more the volume, the more like Jesus. Those aren't connected. Okay, let's try back here. Do it with your heart. Okay, do it with your heart. What do you mean by that? Believing the words that I'm saying. Okay, guys, have you ever sung a song before where you didn't really believe the words, or you weren't even thinking about the words? If you're on a worship team, guys, you need to think about the words and realize, number one, they need to be true words. You want to sing words that are true about Jesus. And number two, you really need to be trying to communicate those words to the people that you're leading in worship. That's good. We've got just one or two more here. Yeah?
Don't show off your part.
Okay, he's got a point. I'm not going to show off on my part. Am I going to steal the solo and bring all the attention to myself if I'm trying to make Jesus look big? Who am I trying to make look big if I do that? Myself. Okay, so I'm not going to be showy in the way that I sing. Okay, good. Any other thoughts on that? How could I lead music on a worship team in a way that's really bringing glory to God? Okay, we'll do the last one here. Fast food restaurant. Anybody work at a fast food restaurant? Okay, a few of you work at a fast food restaurant. If you were working and you're on staff at a fast food restaurant, how could you do your job in a way that's really focused on not just like selling, Chick-fil-A sandwiches or something, but on really like, and you're going to have to sell Chick-fil-A sandwiches. You work at a fast food restaurant. You can't change that. That's part of your job. But how could you do that in a way that's going to bring God glory? Right here.
You could tell them have a good day and have a good attitude.
Okay, I'm going to have a genuinely good attitude. Guys, let me tell you this. I did work at Chick-fil-A. And did you know that every time a Chick-fil-A employee says my pleasure, they don't really mean it. They don't mean it every time. Sometimes they're just saying my pleasure because it's the rules. Okay, it's not really their pleasure. So he's right. You could have a genuinely good attitude, a genuinely loving attitude toward the people that you're serving. Any other thoughts? Right back here. Okay. That's Colossians 3, right? We're going to do it wholeheartedly. Because, if you just kind of do enough to get through your shift and leave, are you really showing the way Jesus would work if he was working at Chick-fil-A? And guys, I want to bring this out to you because there are people that work super hard at Chick-fil-A or at other fast food restaurants, but they're not doing it because they really want Jesus to look big. They're not doing it because they want to be like Jesus. They're doing it because they want to get a raise, or they're doing it because they want to be the best employee in the store. So guys, you can do the same thing. You can work really hard for yourself, or you can work really hard because you want to live for Jesus. Okay? But it all starts with your mission, the mission that you've chosen for your life. Make sense? Other thoughts on fast food? Really quick, right here. You could say God bless you. Okay, that's true. All right, another thought here. You're going to be polite to your customers. Let me ask you this. Let's flip it a little bit. What would you do with your coworkers? How would you interact with your coworkers if you were really going to be missional? Right back here. Words of encouragement. Have you ever gotten ticked at a coworker before? Raise your hand if you're yes, that's me, okay? But let's not be that way. I was ticked at a coworker not too long ago. But, it's words of encouragement. Okay, and why? Why are words of encouragement listen up, guys. Words of encouragement are important because that's the way Jesus was. Jesus was kind. Jesus was gentle. Every now and then he had some hard things to say. but they weren't over how fast somebody sold a chicken sandwich, okay? Good stuff. All right, let's talk about some other things. Real quickly, some thoughts on fast food. Okay? Yeah, right over here. Okay, McDonald's sometimes doesn't get your order right. I'm not sure how that's going to help us. Okay, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. With your coworkers, guys, here's some things I want to throw out there to you. If you get a job someday with your coworkers, your only relationship with them is not like a work relationship. Your only relationship with them is not just, selling sandwiches together and then you don't ever talk. Really, your relationship should be defined by a lot more. You should be investing into their life and finding out about who they are so you can have a chance to share the gospel with them, so you can invite them to church. Dude, you might even plan like a company softball game or something, have a picnic so you could get to know these guys. There's so many things you can do, guys, and I'm not here to tell you what you need to do. The main point tonight is why you need to do it. And the reason you need to do everything that you do is the same reason that God created you. It's the same reason that God saved you. It's so that you would be like Jesus for God's glory. Is that really the mission of your life? Okay, is that really the mission of your life? And I know, guys, it looks like it is right now. I know for you guys, you go to a Christian school, and you go to good churches, and you go to Sunday school, and probably Sunday night, and a lot of you have been here like every night this week, and you're in church all the time. And I know most of you probably aren't smoking and drinking and doing all these terrible things. But is the mission of your life really to bring God glory, or are you just doing the next thing? Because, guys, right now, you could really be hiding really well. You could really be doing those things that, you kind of have to do. I mean, you all look really nice right now, and you're wearing, nice clothes, and you're sitting in chapel, and you're listening to somebody talk about the Bible. That's great. What about in 10 years? If your mission is focused on yourself, or your mission is focused on making things happen to make you look good, or to get ahead in the world, or to make a lot of money, or to have a lot of experiences, if that's your mission, it's going to show up at some point. So right now, we really need to be thinking about this and really solidifying in our mind, what is my mission? Do I even have a mission? Am I just doing the next thing, because I kind of have to from day to day? If that's the case, man, you need to get a mission. You need to get serious and make it your purpose in life to glorify God. Or maybe you have a mission and you go, man, my mission is not to glorify God. I'm not really worried about that. When I'm making decisions, I'm not really thinking about what's going to glorify God. Usually I'm just thinking about what's going to get the biggest laugh, or I'm just thinking about what's going to help me, get the next big position. If that's you, stop and slow down. That's going to show up at some point. Make it your mission to glorify God with your life. All right, it's our last chance together. We just really wanted to get this out here and say, guys, what's your mission? Nothing else is going to last. Nothing else is going to make an eternal impact unless you have God's mission. Don't waste your life. There's a guy that used to do this before me. He said it all the time. The one Aaron talked about that lost his life on Sunday. Well, he talked about him on Sunday that lost his life last year. Carol Ann that was up here singing with a little 2-year-old? Her husband died in a car crash last year. But that used to be what he'd say to teens all over the country. He'd say, don't waste your life. Don't waste your life. Don't waste your life. And guys, the way that you don't waste your life is by living your life for God's glory. Don't let any other mission get in the way. Don't get tangled up with the affairs of this life. Live your life for God's glory.